My name is Tracy Howell. I'm the president of the AAUW group in Gridley, now called an affiliate instead of a branch. And we're glad to co-host this event for the Biggs and Gridley Community Forum. Glad everyone's here, and we hope you have lots of questions. And I'm just going to hand the mic over to Margaret Swick with League of Women Voters of Butte County.
Thank you. Good evening, candidates and our guests. On behalf of the League of Women Voters of Butte County, welcome to our second candidate forum of the general election season. I am Margaret Swick, president of the League of Women Voters. Special thanks to our Gridley AAUW friends for their partnership. Many of us are proudly members of both AAUW and the League. We are pleased that our forum will be broadcast tonight by BCAC TV. Thanks to Jerome Gilbert and his team for doing the recording, and thanks to William Tefteller for his assistance. BCAC TV will be recording each of our city council forums and our California State Assembly District 3, our card forum, and U.S. Representative District 1 forum. Please look for the videos on our website about 3 days after each event. This forum will be broadcast on public access television on Friday at 7 p.m. You are invited to stay after the forum to hear League members present the pro and cons of ballot propositions. Tonight, our pro and con co-chairs, Tony Reed and Carolyn Dusenberry, are speaking, and I know that their presentation will help you make important ballot proposition decisions. So please stay with us, and AAUW has provided snacks and treats for us, so we'll all be very comfortable. The League of Women Voters does not support or oppose political candidates or parties. We work to encourage informed voting and civic engagement. We believe that it is an honor to serve in public office. We thank each candidate for being willing to run for office because we know it is challenging. And we thank each candidate for being willing to serve the public. The League of Women Voters always welcomes new members, and we welcome men. You'll notice tonight we have 3 men that are each members of the League working to help this forum. If you support civility in politics, if you support the in-depth examination of issues, if you support advocacy following study and consensus building, and you are 16 years of age, then the League might be just right for you. You will find League information on the table behind you, or ask any League member for assistance. Thanks to our question screeners tonight, Eileen Burke-Trent, Lynn Hansen, and Tony Reed. Thanks to our timekeepers, Barbara Evans and Carolyn Dusenberry. And finally, thanks to our moderator, Rose Kelley, and thanks to our press being here. Thank you. Lisa, say your name for me, please. Van de Hay. Thank you. Now, finally, our moderator, Rose Kelley. Some of you have heard me say before, Rose Kelley is the League's rock star. Rose has done a splendid job of orchestrating our forums. It has been a full-time job for several months, and all League work is done by volunteers, so that's time that Rose has donated, not just to the League, but the whole community. Please silence your cell phones. We ask that you hold all applause until the close of our forum. No portion of this forum may be recorded for campaign purposes. Our forums are issue-oriented, and we ask that there be no personal attacks, either in a question or in response to a question. And now, Rose Kelley.
Good evening. Assisting me this evening are two timekeepers. They are holding indicators marked 1 minute, 30 seconds, 15 seconds, and a red stop sign. Candidates, can you see that well enough? Okay, very good. Is there a problem?
Perhaps if it's held a little lower, so
If you tilt it lower, what if you switch places?
that's fine right there.
Okay, sorry. Okay, the question screeners will sort the questions from the audience into topics. If you have the little cards that are this size, and we have pencils back there, if you have questions, please just hold it up and someone, a question gatherer, will pick it up and bring it to us. Representing the press, as we mentioned, is Lisa Vandehey, publisher of the Gridley Herald. She'll be called upon to pose questions directly to the candidates. I've not seen her questions, but I'm sure they're going to be insightful. Here's a little bit of information about Biggs and the Biggs City Council seat. The city of Biggs has a population of about 1,700 with a growing Hispanic population. There are 5 seats on the Biggs City Council. A council member's term is 4 years. The newly elected council members will take office on the first council meeting in December, which is Tuesday, December 13th. The state of California determines the salary of council members of its cities. If the population is less than 35,000, then the monthly salary is $300. With us this evening are 2 of the 3 candidates. Apparently Mr. Wilkinson either got lost or he's just not here at this time. But if he does show up, would you please have him take a seat? Okay, here's a little bit of the ground rules. Candidates have drawn for order of opening and closing statements prior to the beginning of this forum and are seated in the order of the opening draw. Each candidate will be given 1 minute for an opening statement, 1 minute to respond to the questions, and finish the evening with a 1 minute closing statement. Each question will be answered by each of the candidates. Because this forum is a nonpartisan setting, voters are here to hear all positions. Any demonstrations or support or opposition to the candidates or their positions will be out of order. Any questions directed at individual candidates will be discarded because the questions must be posed to all candidates. Our time with the candidates will be approximately 40 minutes. We will stop candidate questions after 35 minutes in order to leave time for closing statements. At the end of this forum, we will thank all of the candidates with our applause. Please hold your applause until that time. We'll begin with the opening statement from Mr. John Busch.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am John Busch. I am currently a member of the Big City Council. This election will be my 4th attempt to gain that seat or retain that seat. So with all that said, I guess it could be said that I'm not here as an apprentice. The feelings that I have about government in general are that they are not going. Government is not going away. It's not going to get any smaller. And that concerns me. And that leads me to say that those of us at a local level have to stay on a constant vigil to watch those who would pass mandates from Washington and Sacramento down to us. So there again, with that said, I understand the position, I understand the challenges, and I have the experience to deal with those situations. Thank you.
Our next candidate is Roger Frith.
Thank you. Well, John and I have something in common. This is also my fourth attempt for the office, and just completing our third terms, it is hard to differentiate from what he has said. We deal with the issues and the mandates and all the negatives that come along from Washington and Sacramento. We have a unique situation in both Biggs and Gridley in that we have electric utilities, and the mandates that are coming down from the state and potentially from the federal government also impede our abilities to make certain that our citizens, who are also our ratepayers, are treated fairly and given a proper rate for their utilities. So it's one of the things that I plan to do if reelected, is to continue that advocacy for the citizens of Biggs in all issues, and also to make certain that our rates are in a stable manner.
Thank you. Now for our first question, it goes to John Busch. What do you see as the top 3 issues of concern for the city?
Oh my, I would say that the continuing need for public facilities, streets, sewer, water, electricity, as a group, that's one. I would think also that the issue of growth or no growth, I think, is another gigantic issue for our little community. And public safety is always a huge issue for any city. I'm very supportive of the city police situation and law enforcement in general, and I hope that answers your questions.
Yes, it does. Thank you. Roger?
Thank you. We've been working on these issues for basically the past 12 years that were just stated. Our infrastructure issues, we have gone through a cycle of updating our sewers, our water system, our electrical system that had been allowed to fall into some decay. And through that period, not only were we able to take care of much of the problem as far as water issues. In particular, we were about to lose our certification for fire rating due to a faulty system. We've worked through that. We're updating the sewer systems and working on it now because of mandates and changes through our permit. So we just have a myriad of issues that I know that I would like to complete.
Thank you. Our next question will come from the press.
The financial picture for the city of Biggs has improved greatly over the past few years. Will that continue, and how?
Well, Lisa, I think that, thank you, that's a great compliment, because it has improved over the last several years, and the reason being is that we've taken a real hard look at how we were spending money and why we were spending it. In other words, we've done our very best to be conscious of the money that we're spending. It is real, whether it's government money or not. It is real money. And I think that with the continued strong council, we can continue that those same policies. In other words, we don't spend money needlessly. Money is money, and it seems to be an issue among governments of all sizes that, well, it really doesn't matter because it really isn't money. Thank you.
Thank you. That's definitely an issue that we have dealt with head on, and much of the services that we provide in Biggs are through contracts, some with Gridley, some with outside firms, and when we first came onto the council, we were about 3 years away from bankruptcy, and we have turned that around, and with the help of a strong council, and not necessarily always to the liking of our employees that we do have, but we did what was best for the community.
The next question comes from the audience, and we'll start with Roger. I'm concerned about the empty buildings and lots. What would you do to improve downtown?
That's an interesting question, and I'd really like to know the perspective, but at the same time, those are issues that are, brought to the front. Why were the buildings allowed to, get into a level of disrepair that they had to be removed or actions had to be taken? And what we have is, private property rights versus public issues in regard to the safety of people that traverse the sidewalks. We are trying to actively work to have new buildings or the improper buildings that need to be taken down. And, it's a matter of trying to work with the property owners to make certain that they have buildings that they can either utilize or rent or whatever the need would be. But it's still private property and we can't force them.
John, your turn.
Well, my goodness, what can I say? I can say this for sure, that when I came to Gridley in 1968, Biggs was a thriving community. There wasn't an empty building on any street, let alone Main Street. But over the years, I've seen that disappear, and unfortunately, the empty building situation has been going on a lot longer than the demolition that you see at this point. I think the demolition draws attention to the fact that we do have some empty buildings and so on and so forth. It's true. It's public property ownership versus public safety. And we're in a situation where we just have to do the very best we can to promote new businesses and at the same time keep our current residents safe.
Okay, thank you. And John, just keep that right there because you're next. All right, this one's from the League of Women Voters. The 2015-2016 Butte County Grand Jury Report drew attention to the unfunded pension liabilities, which would mean less money for other city needs. Please share your understanding of this issue. And it's not just your town.
Well, I don't know that I truly understand that issue in its entirety. I know that our city administrator, who doubles as finance director and so on and so forth, this was brought to his attention by the grand jury and has taken every step necessary to correct and direct the money where it needed to be in the first place.
Thank you. Roger, time to weigh in.
Thank you. This one, I had actually brought this to the administrator's attention prior to the grand jury bringing it up as an item countywide. And in Biggs, we're not impacted as negatively as many of the larger communities. There's several things that have kept us from getting the big hit that has happened, and that's in public safety pensions. We contract those services. So we don't assume that liability. We do have, the liability, and ours, I believe, are in the neighborhood of $200,000, $280,000 of unfunded liability, and which, in the grand scheme of things, is very minor. And we are managing that. We were also talking about adding extra dollars to it to maintain it and try and buy it down over time.
Thank you. Our next question comes from the audience. Do you support continuation of the hospital bond? Why or why not? Yes.
Okay. When that was brought up, because it was sunsetting, and we needed to act on it to be able to put it on the ballot. Our position, or at least my position, has been that it's not what I think that is important one way or the other, whether I support it, whether I don't support it. It's the vote of the public that is important. What I will say, because I'll tell no one how I'm voting on any issue, but I think that, it's imperative that we have a hospital facility in our areas so that we can have those emergency services, et cetera, that are necessary. So, like I said, I'm not saying how I vote for it, whether I support it or don't support it per se, but I think it's real important that, the citizens have the right to say what they want.
I can only echo Mr. Frith and his feelings. Ultimately, it is the voters' choice, and they will be given that choice whether they want to get this fee back on their property taxes or not. They'll be given that choice, and my personal feeling is, without a hospital or without an emergency room, we really have no community. And along those lines, I'd like to thank all of the past and present board of directors that have kept the Biggs Gridley Memorial Hospital alive, known now as Orchard Hospital. But there again, do I support the tax? Hard for me to support any tax, but if I have to support a tax, this is one that I will.
Our next question will be coming from the press.
What are your feelings on Measure L?
Lisa, this is going to be real easy for me to answer. I have no feelings because I don't understand it.
Very good. I'm definitely not in favor of Measure L. I've seen the L no signs out there, and do have a sense of the repeated attempts by a segment of the population in Butte County that keeps moving to try and get something passed that's been either defeated or modified to not against their likings. I do this opposition because I've seen what the impacts are. Anything to deal with a drug of any sort is not a victimless crime, and it needs to be taken care of at a level. There's been great allowance for the medical aspect of it, which has been violated almost exclusively since its inception. So again, my position is no. I don't support that for a variety of reasons.
I'm going to turn the microphone back over to Lisa, who's going to tell us a little bit about what Measure L is.
This is going to, apparently, this is what I get out of it. Now, it could mean adverse effects to our property values. And, yes, the marijuana issue, right. And possibly levels of crime in our areas going up from having the capability to be able to do this from home.
Thank you. Our next question is from the League of Women Voters. The Latino population is growing in your city. How can the city better engage the entire population?
I'll answer that with saying from my very first month as a city councilman some years ago, the very first thing I did, I was appointed mayor, and then the second thing I did was I called a town hall meeting. I drew the town of Biggs into one building and I asked them, what do you want me to do? I think we could do a like thing with the Hispanic community. I think it's a matter of reaching out, opening our hands and our hearts, because there are some very, very strong individuals and families within the Hispanic family. There are problems, no doubt, no doubt. Nobody would deny that there are problems. But I would also like to say that that I feel that we need to welcome anybody, regardless of race or color or background.
Thank you. And I would echo that too. Now, when I was first elected, obviously I went to that town hall, and and I know John does this as I have. We've reached out. We have a lot of people that are constituents that we try and get input from in regard to issues. And we've also tried to invite them to get involved in the local politics. And in Biggs, it's been very difficult. I don't have the answer as to why, but at the same time, I know there's been an outpouring of effort by a number of us that are on the council to try and engage those in the community who may feel underserved or represented or whatever, regardless of whatever race, creed, color, etc., that may be there. And they choose to not engage at this time, but we'll continue.
Thank you. At this moment, I'd like to remind the people in the back of the room, please, to be quiet. It is being filmed, taped. So if you have a conversation, perhaps you want to take it outside. Our next question, it will be coming from the audience. Do you have a grant writer for your city? If so, what do they contribute? If not, why? I think the last, it's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
To answer the question straightforward is no, we do not have a paid grant writer. We do have, through our planning planner, they try and track grants that are available. We have a relationship with 3Corps, who also provides a grant writing once a year for us on whatever issue that we choose to move forward with. Our engineering firm is also looking for grants and works to that end. The primary reason is that grants have gotten very uncertain over time, very costly to get, and the competition for a city the size of ours versus other cities, it does not make financial sense to have a full-time grant writer.
Thank you. John?
My feelings, once again, are parallel to Roger's. We simply can't afford a full-time grant writer. And no, we don't have one. And that pretty much answers the question. We do have staff, engineering staff, planning staff, so on and so forth. They're contractors, but they are the ones that would be spending grant money most of the time. And so they are the ones who chase the grants that are needed to keep our city alive.
Thank you. I'm going to have Lisa ask the next question.
We touched on the downtown earlier and the demolition being done. What kind of businesses would you like to see, or industry, to the town overall?
I'd like to have any business that is viable, and in particular, it would be nice to have revenue or tax revenue generating businesses of sorts. As far as how the downtown would be utilized, whether it's through the existing buildings that need renovation or those lots that are there. We're open to anything that comes forward, and we'll work with any developer that has an idea that will create jobs on the first hand and on the backside to hopefully generate revenues for the city. And that's been our position from the very beginning, and we have the advantage of being able to assist in that if they're willing to have that discussion.
We mentioned empty buildings, buildings empty for a long time in a one-time town that really thrived. But to the city's advantage, it's always such that you have retail businesses that collect sales tax and help support the city financially. The second thing that you need, of course, is we need jobs. It doesn't matter if they're creating sales tax, generating sales tax revenue for the city or not. We would welcome any kind of industry, a manufacturing plant, so on and so forth, that would provide decent jobs for the city of Biggs without them having to go out of town. For once in my life, I'm kind of lost for words because this is a really emotional thing with me. I would welcome, and I do welcome, any kind of business.
Thank you. On a lighter note, Roger, would you like us to sing happy birthday to your wife? I think we should. Let's just take a break. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mary. Happy birthday to you. Yay. And what a great husband to have a wife that was willing to give up her birthday celebration. Yeah, to be here. It's very supportive. Nice. Our next question. What decision was made in the last 2 years that you didn't support, and why? And this one goes to John.
I don't really remember something that I was adamantly opposed to during the last 2 years. Measures come and measures go. I can remember one no vote from me within the last 2 years, and I can't remember what the issue was, so it must not have been that important.
I'm going to answer it just a little bit differently. There have been a number of decisions that I didn't agree with on a personal level, that I didn't want to support at a personal level. But you voted yes for the best interest of all the people that live in Biggs, and it was in the best interest of Biggs that it did pass, and that we had some sort and some sense of consolidation in our view. So my personal, I always try to put it aside personally, and I have voted no on things, but I may have been tilting at a windmill, I'm not sure.
Thank you. Our next question is going to come from Lisa.
Council members serve on committees in addition to their monthly public meeting. What committee would you like to be assigned to and why?
Well, Lisa, I have to be really candid here. I don't want to be assigned to any more positions. I currently serve on the BCAC board. I'm an alternate member on the Air Resources board. I'm an alternate at LAFCO. I'm on what we call SCORE, Board of Directors. In short, most of the time we accept these appointments because we need a representative, and not all of us all the time step up. I enjoy every minute of it.
Okay. I would like to be reappointed to the commissions that I'm currently on. I am a commissioner for Northern California Power Agency, which has the ability to affect both Biggs and Gridley. I'm a member of their executive committee. We have the police commissioner, so I have regular meetings with Chief Price. And now that you have the new administrator, Mr. Eckert is also going to be involved in some of these further discussions. We're having electric meetings with the superintendent, electric superintendent, Mr. Eckert's also going to be involved in those. We have Economic Development Committee, which I've been involved in. So again, we do divide our responsibilities for the various commissions that we have and try and take care of them through the council level as opposed to having staff to spend time on them.
Thank you. This will be our last question so that we have time for your closing statements. And it comes from the audience. Your city voted for the T-bid. Which a T-bid, by the way, stands for Tourism Business Improvement District. What do you plan to do to promote your town?
Boy, in those terms, we have so very little to offer. We're talking about lodging and so on and so forth, hotels, motels. We have one hotel that has not been open for, I have no idea how many years. I'm going to guess at 40 years. So right now we have very, very little. Would I be happy to see a hotel, a motel? Absolutely and completely. Thank you.
Thank you. We did vote for the T-bid in a proactive view of the future, not currently what we have today. And as John has stated, we haven't had an active hotel or motel in town for many, many years. But we do have situations that are in town through the duck season where there's housing that's offered for beyond the 30 days that can fall into that. And I would like to see those types of businesses that are there incorporated into the advertising of the area and just to bring people in. Those people that do the hunting and typically come from the Bay Area and beyond are also those that have many connections with businesses, etc., that might be beneficial to us in the future.
Thank you. And we will do the reverse order now for the closing statements. We'll start with Roger Frith.
Thank you. What I'm asking for tonight, as we go into the voting cycle, is continued confidence in what I've been able to do for the last 12 years, which is to put you first as the constituents, which is my fellow citizens of Biggs, and to know that I will advocate for you and have advocated for you on all issues. If that application of the issue is merely to provide you the information to show what you may or may not do moving forward, or if it is to contacting staff to get whatever that issue resolved may be, and which I have done and will continue to do. So I'm asking for your continued confidence and asking for your vote.
Well, if it hasn't become obvious by now, I'll make it very clear. Mayor Frith and I have worked very close together over the last 4 years. Sometimes it's almost scary just how close we think alike. It really, really is. So I'm running because I want to continue the good things that we've started. Should I leave, I'm afraid that chain will be broken, and I don't think there's no personal gain here at all except the satisfaction of knowing that you're doing something that somebody can benefit from. And there again, I ask you for your vote.
Thank you to candidate John Busch and Roger Frith. We will now applaud. Thank you for your service.
Thank you. May I say one last thing in closing?
Oh, sure.
This isn't as much fun as karaoke.
Very fun. Thank you. We're going to take a short break while we set up for the Gridley Forum. So please, I invite you to go back and have some cookies and some treats. Thank you. Good evening. We're now going to have some information about the Gridley City Council and the City of Gridley. The City of Gridley has a population of 6,582 with a growing Hispanic population. There are 5 seats on the Gridley City Council. A council member's term is 4 years. The state of California determines the salary of council members of its cities. If the population is 35,000 or less, which is the case for Gridley, that monthly salary is set at $300 per month. With us this evening, we have 2 of the 4 candidates seeking 1 of 3 city council seats. The candidates that are with us this evening are Roxana Khan and Gary Davidson. Frank Hall called in sick, and Chris Williams is stuck in San Francisco. The candidates have drawn for order for the opening and closing statements prior to this forum and are seated in the order of the opening draw. Each candidate will be giving 1 minute for the opening statement, 1 minute to respond to questions, and finish the evening with a 1-minute closing statement. Each question will be answered by both of the candidates. Because this forum is nonpartisan and the voters want to hear all positions, all demonstrations of support or opposition to the candidates or their positions will be out of order. Any question directed at individual candidates will be discarded because the questions must be posed to all candidates. We'll spend about 35 minutes with the candidates. We will stop the questions in a half an hour in order to leave time for closing statements. At the end of the evening, we will thank all of the candidates with our applause. Please hold your applause until that time. The first question goes to, opening statement goes to Roxana Khan. Following will be Gary Davidson.
Good evening, everyone. It's my first time running for City Council. We good? Okay. So as I said, it's my first time running for City Council, and I believe my background in business, in the financial industry, in marketing, would assist the City Council on promoting events in Gridley to help develop it further. I feel that I would provide an equilibrium to our current City Council members to be able to collaborate with our community, to effectively communicate with our community, and work on issues that are currently being addressed in our city. I feel we have a lot of positive opportunities in Gridley that we should take the opportunity to focus on to be able to grow and develop. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I like Roger and John, I not concurrently, but I served 3 terms, 1992 to 2004 in the city of Gridley.
Excuse me, Gary, could you put the mic a little closer to you?
In my mouth? Is it?
Actually, I was taught if you do it on your
On my
chin,
chin,
just
okay,
keep
I'll
it
go
rested
back.
there.
Thank you. Yes, I have served here, and I believe serving on the council, I give back to what the city of Gridley has given me. I was electric superintendent here for 5 years also, and I believe that my time on the council will be beneficial to the city of Gridley, and I look forward to serving.
Thank you. Roxana Khan will have the first question. And this comes from the audience. Our community swimming pool has been in the process of being closed by the County of Butte for the last 1.5 years, despite having this issue brought to them a year ago. The current council has taken no known action to intercede or assist in finding a solution. What is your position regarding the loss of our pool, and if elected, what steps will you take to ensure that we have a community pool?
I feel, as the old saying goes, if there's a way, there's a will. The community pool is very important to Gridley. It's important to our swim team. It's important to our children because it helps promote leadership qualities in them and it helps promote teamwork in them. I feel that the pool needs to stay, and it is something that should be kept within our city. And I feel we need to take action, even though the current city council members may have just taken a step back. We have to look at the details of it a little further to decide what the best plan of action would be to be able to save our pool.
Now for Gary Davidson's response.
I think there needs to be a lot more research on what is taking place. I know that it's going to be a hard sell due to the fact that it appears to be about a 400% increase on taxes. I hope that we could support that. I would think that this would be a great time for a grant writer to look in the recreational department to see if there's some state help. I would hope that we could keep it open also. The children that I've seen there is very likable. It's a good recreation. I hope the pool doesn't go away, and maybe the county can also do something to support it.
Thank you. Gary, if you want to hang on to that mic. Our next question will be from Lisa Vandehay.
Yes, that was actually going to be my first question, was about the pool. I would like to say thank you to the many great Gridley Grader supporters here, children and the parents. It's a very important subject for our town. Since I lost that question, I will now ask, do you support Measure M for Orchard Hospital? And please give your reasons.
Yes, I do support Measure M. For one reason, the community came together about approximately 10 years ago to make sure that our hospital didn't go away. There's great support in our city for the hospital. It's something that I believe that we need as citizens here. We may not often use it, but when we need it, it's there. And the reason why I would support it, it does not increase the taxes. It just continues on from where we're at now. So yes, that would be a correct answer. I would support it.
As with Gary, I do stand behind Measure M. I do feel that the hospital is important to the city of Gridley. Its facilities offers a lot of medical attention for the surrounding communities also. I feel that it's an asset, not only to the city of Gridley, but on a business-wise decision too.
Our next question comes from the League of Women Voters. Ms. Khan, what are your suggestions for revitalizing the downtown?
Downtown Gridley has been redesigned. It's really beautiful. We need to work towards bringing in businesses that would stay. We see a lot of other towns that have been able to go and revive their downtowns. I always look at Yuba City. Yuba City's downtown was dying, but they brought it back. They brought it back by holding events in downtown. They brought it back by getting businesses, retailers that would stay and support it.
We're fighting over questions.
Yeah, sorry.
And would you repeat the question?
Oh, well, where is it? Oh, here it is. What are your suggestions for revitalizing the downtown?
That's a hard question because it takes money for a business to open up. I would think the city council maybe waive some fees and start looking for businesses to come in. I often thought that if there was some kind of a unique business that had a clustering effect where we could have foot traffic, We also have a new city administrator that is bringing in some ideas. Hopefully from him, he can come up with some ideas of new businesses also. So I hope that's where we are headed for.
Thank you. Just hold on to that mic, Mr. Davidson. You're up next. This is from the audience. The county fair is struggling. What would you do as a council member to help the fair thrive?
I don't know. Obviously on a council, when you have other members in, that we could get together and discuss situations with the county fair. I'm sure that in a council that we could come up with some more ideas. We have worked with them, giving free services from electric department, things that would not cost them. So I would hope that we could come up as a council together and think of some ideas.
Thank you. And now for Ms. Khan's answer.
This year when I attended the Butte County Fair, I believe that it's a great event that Butte County does hold, but I do believe that it's under-marketed. So that coming from a marketing perspective, if we marketed it a little stronger to communities around us, we'd be able to generate more foot traffic, being able to hold more events, just not events over the weekends, but events that would pique an interest in our community and get also our community involved.
Thank you. Our next question will come from Lisa Van Hay of the Gridley Herald.
Caltrans has once again proposed roundabouts for Gridley on Highway 99, one at East Gridley Road and one at Spruce Street. What are your thoughts on roundabouts in Gridley?
Oh goodness. I see roundabouts in bigger cities and they always confuse me. So I feel they'd be confusing. I really don't know what my stance on roundabouts would be. I would actually have to look at it a little bit more closer. I don't know how they would benefit Gridley. So we would need to know at what kind of benefits they would be bringing to Gridley to actually have them be brought in.
I have disliked roundabouts since my time in France. The Champs-Élysées, you get in a roundabout and you can't get out. Also, I find out that people don't know how to use them, and it's more of a traffic snarl than it is a straight through. It would be, as far as I'm concerned, there would be no roundabouts.
Thank you. By the way, I have 2 roundabouts in my neighborhood. You learn. Next question is for Gary Davidson first. Cities in Butte County have a homeless and/or transient issue. What can be done in Gridley?
I've spoken to our chief of police about that, and based on the capita of our city, there's some question whether we have a major problem with homeless in the city of Gridley. The study needs to be done to whether that is a true fact or whether that's something that has generated just because of 1 or 2. So I would like to have more research on that if we are to do anything.
Over the years, I would say that we've seen a little bit more of an increase in homeless and transient, and maybe it's just because we're a small town and they feel that being a small town that the people will be more inviting, but it does bring down the atmosphere of Gridley, and we should work on being able to maybe provide them a safe house where they can stay as a community, opening something that would be feasible for them to use for a couple of days and then be able to move on. I agree with Gary that there is further research that needs to be done to conclude how bad the situation is or it is not.
Thank you. Our next question comes from the audience. As a council member, what would be your highest priority, Ms. Khan?
My highest priority would be our economic development, the focus on downtown, looking for grants to be able to support our downtown, to be able to build it, to be able to bring businesses in, to see what kind of businesses our communities want to see thriving there that would generate foot traffic for them to feel invited into our downtown and to do business with those businesses.
I would like to see a way to generate some kind of an income within the city without raising taxes or raising the electrical charges. And I think there are ways of doing it. We're working on Beale Air Force Base at this present time of doing emergency work for them as they're trying to privatize. We see that this is possibly a chance of bringing some income in that would not go to the general fund, but maybe make a way of buying equipment. And so I look forward to helping along with our city administrator and our finance director, all of those in charge to see how we could generate some kind of an income.
The next set of questions will be from Lisa Van de Hey.
3 current Gridley City Council members voted against the Butte County tourism tax to guests of our motels, which meant Gridley is left out of any publicity on Butte County for 5 years. If the vote for a tourism TOT tax came before you, would you vote in favor of Gridley being part of the Butte County tourism and not left out?
Yes, I would. I have a little different of opinion on where it does not affect our local residents, that someone coming in would not balk at paying that, and that is a good way somewhere along the line that this tourism could help us. As Roger said, maybe in the future there's something. So yes, I would have voted for the TOT tax.
I would have also voted for the TDAP tax. I believe that as travelers ourselves, we go out and we stay in hotels and we pay the tax too. So as tourists coming in, as we say, we're a small town that loves company, but we're not promoting company to come and stay with us. And we should be doing that.
Thank you. The next question comes from the audience. The city is currently removing trees and replacing with cement. Would you support an ordinance like Chico, where when you remove a tree, you plant a tree?
I do. I would support it because I believe trees breathe for us, as from all the science classes I've attended. And trees actually add to the city, they add to the attractiveness of what Gridley has to offer. And looking at cement blocks is not something I'd want to do. I'd rather see trees. So I would stand definitely behind it.
I think each situation would deserve at least taking an idea, looking into it. Trees are always beautiful, and but sometimes they are more destructive than they are in beauty. So I would have to ask our public works, why would you be removing it? Why couldn't we plant a different type of tree? So, and I would like to see every situation before making that decision.
Thank you. The 2015-2016 Butte County Grand Jury report drew attention to the unfunded pension liabilities, which would mean less money for other city needs. Please share your understanding of this issue. We'll start with Gary Davidson.
I have not read the grand jury report, just knowing that something that is unfunded needs to be funded if we're going to have that as part of the contract. I would think that, I know the city of Gridley has taken some steps toward that in a 2-tier of hiring, and I'm assuming that they're working on that to fund it for the future and not getting any further behind.
Unfortunately, I do not have a clear understanding of this. I do feel that it should be looked into, and a solution can be provided, depending on the causes of it.
For the audience, unfunded liabilities are due to be added to the city's balance sheets in 2017. Pension commitments for the employees and past employees are considered unchangeable under California law and must eventually be paid. Recent municipal bankruptcies have not changed or challenged this, so stay tuned. Our next question will come from Lisa Vandehay.
What ideas do you have to bring more businesses or industry to town, and how would you make sure this happened?
I'd want to see where we're lacking. I'd want to see what the community wants to see in businesses come in, how it would benefit them. I'd want to see what their ideas would be. Is it restaurants? Is it shops? Are they looking for something convenient? It really depends on what their ideas are, and I'd like to be able to work with the community to be able to generate those ideas and then reach out to businesses that would fulfill those ideas.
We would have to go to the community to find out what kind of businesses that they could talk to coming into town. We would sure appreciate any business that would come in and have people that they could hire and increase the value of our own city. So to do that, I would think that I would work very closely with our new city administrator who has some great ideas. And but most of all, as Roxana said, is we need the community totally involved in how do we want to make that change, or how do we want to proceed.
Thank you. The next question comes from the League of Women Voters. The Latino population is growing in your city. How can the city better engage the entire population?
I think input again from the local residents of the Hispanic community is very important. There's things that are taking place in the city really that they're involved. The involvement needs to be more from them, and their ideas should be taken to heart and discussed among the council. So I would encourage those in the Hispanic community to make themselves available to the council and give us their ideas, and then maybe we could act on that.
I do agree with Gary on this. We would have to reach out to our Hispanic community and see how they'd like us to proceed with this, but also being involved in some of their holiday celebrations and elaborating with them and being able to celebrate with them. As we celebrate Halloween, they're going to be celebrating Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead for them. I believe as a community we can maybe hold an event where they feel welcome, that we would be celebrating this with them and standing beside them.
Another question from the audience. If I'm approached by a person in need, perhaps they're homeless, where should I send them?
I feel that's something we need to work on. That goes back to the question that was first asked about our problem with homeless and transients. We don't have a place to currently send them, but we should work towards a place where we can send them, where they feel comfortable enough staying as they pass through.
I would probably refer to our police department is involved a lot on this, and there are programs also in the county that takes care of some of the problems here, and maybe this is an area that we need to work on to in the future as the homeless population possibly increases here, and maybe we can be of some help there. And so that would also, as Roxana said, is we will probably have to work on that.
Thank you. What do you, I'm sorry, Lisa, did you want to? Yeah.
Okay, we all know that Gridley needs more activities for our kids. and this will be the first year in many years that the city is not going to sponsor the Halloween Carnival due to finances. Would you support an aquatic center, as has been mentioned by some, for this area if it were to come about?
I don't know that I understand aquatic center outside of the swimming pool system that we're talking about, which goes back to the same issue of money. And where would that money come? And could we get some people that would donate? There would be some fundraisers. Would I support it? Yes, I support anything that comes along for the children of our community, and because they are our future. But always the money is the issue.
I would support the aquatic center. I mean, we're always telling our youth to get off their electronics. So to get them off their electronics, we have to give them something to do within the community, something that's going to keep them engaged, keep them involved, keep them coming back. And if that, it would depend on funding, as Gary said, it would depend on fundraising, it would depend on being able to get grants, looking into it, and it would be a total community and city government going together to be able to do this.
This will be our last question in order to save a little bit of time for your closing statements. What do you see as the top 3 issues of concern for the city?
I feel we've touched on a lot of them. Economic development, I feel public safety, being able to partner with our community to be able to develop places for the youth to be involved in, giving the youth some activities to do outside of school or during the weekends. But our biggest one, as we focus on, would be the pool in the downtown area.
I think within the city that we've had a lack of individuals with our city administrator looking for grants, and our planning department looking for grants. Not that that takes up a whole lot of time. I would like to think that we need more grants. I would like to make sure that the electric rates are never increased, maybe by, again, some of the things that I have spoken about of getting some outside projects that will pay for the increase. And then I know that the people here in the city are very concerned with the way our roads are, the upkeep and the maintenance on them. So I would say that that would be my 3.
Thank you. We'll now have the closing statements, and we'll start with Gary Davidson.
Well, I'd like to think that even with the lack of communication skills here, that I would get the votes of the citizens, because I believe that I can be of some help within the city with my experience of the past. So thank you for this time.
I would like to say it'd be a real honor serving on our city government to help continue my positive growth within the community, to help the community advance and be able to help our businesses develop and advance in Gridley. And to be able to work on saving the pool or looking for other options for our youth to be able to enjoy their time spent and developing on those ideas. Thank you.
On behalf of the League of Women Voters of Butte County, and I do have to interject here that this is our 50th year, so applaud us as well as the candidates. Thank you to Roxana Khan and Gary Davidson for participating in the forum this evening. And thank you, audience, for your great questions. Thank you for being an attentive audience. Please stay for the pro and con presentations on the initiatives and the ballot measures. Go to www.votersedge.org to learn more about the candidates and the measures. Voters Edge of California is a link-sponsored website which offers every candidate in the race in the state a free web page to post their candidacy. Remember to vote on Tuesday, November 8th, or if you're mailing in your ballots, please do so quickly. Encourage your family and friends and neighbors to vote. Thank you again for attending.